Alright guys, Brian Pierce, your purveyor of awesome here, back with another tech review or camera review or thoughts about a product, however you want to look at it. I did a review on the Canon M5. I had mentioned about looking for something that's a little bit better than a GoPro, but that wasn't a full-on mirrorless camera, needing to change the lens, something that's, you know, $1,000 to $1,500. I didn't want to spend that on something to have in my backpack while riding in Colorado, doing, you know, capturing footage in the backcountry and then potential kind of travel vlogging. And he mentioned the Canon G7X Mark II. And I said, okay, awesome, I'm gonna go research that. And him and I went back and forth a little bit, and I was like, this does seem like the perfect thing, the perfect little camera that I'm looking for. An easy way to capture good content while out in the backcountry, but not having, you know, $1,000 plus in my backpack to where if I did crash by accident or something were to go haywire and water was leaking out, that it wouldn't ruin a very expensive piece of equipment. Now, I'm not trying to say this is cheap. This thing's still $500 to $600 when you're buying it online brand new. I can create a little bit better content because I can have more control over it, but at the same time, I'm not spending $1,000 plus on that piece of equipment. So here are my thoughts on using the G7X Mark II while at the Scarborough Fair this past weekend. I rented this from Borrow Lenses again. I'm finding, you know, I've been doing that for a long time, but I'm figuring out if I want to do a little bit more of these reviews, it's a great way for me to play around with new technology, have some fun out there, and talk about it for you guys. First thing off is size. This thing is a great size. It's obviously smaller than the M5, but one of the things that I found is that it maybe is almost too small for my hand, and that's saying something because I have actually pretty tiny hands. So that's something to think about, but maybe if you have tiny hands, you like that. If you have a big hand, it's not gonna kind of bug you too much, but the size when it comes to the weight is awesome. I think that this is a great camera to have. You would not notice this if this is in your backpack or it's sitting in your pocket or anything like that. But then if I say how did I carry it around all day? Well, same old jobby. I took this guy, screwed it on, and this is how I ran around all day. And again, I just held this in my hand as I'm running around doing stuff, turning it off, turning it on, flipping the viewfinder up so that I could see what I'm looking at, and it worked great. I even stuck it in my pocket a couple times. Yeah, it would stick out, but just when I needed to have extra hands for some of the beer that I was drinking. If one of your concerns is weight, this camera's light. I didn't even notice it, and I carried it around like this all day, opposed to even carrying it in a bag or anything like that. One of the things we talked about on the M5 is how the screen flips down, and the problem is that you can't see yourself. This negates that. This is awesome, the fact that this guy flips up. There's no hot shoe, there's no flash in the way, so you can easily set up your shot, make sure that you're kind of in there, and then what you do, just make sure when you're talking, you then wind up switching your eyes to looking at the lens, because if not, the whole time your eyes are just, that inch up really does a lot for where you're actually focusing your eyes and who it looks like you're talking to or not talking to. Is that you? Press and record on this thing is a bitch. I'll be completely honest. You look at it from this direction, you're kind of like, it doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal. But when you've got everything else going on and you're focused on the screen being up and then you're kind of like reaching to try to find things, I just found myself pushing the wrong button a couple times or playing around with the toggle. Kind of a beat down. It's minor, it is what it is. I feel like after you use it so many times, you're probably gonna go, okay, it's right behind this little guy. I just need to remember when I put my finger there, I need to slide it back and boom, I'm right on the record button. So that's something to think about. Something about the Canon M5 that I absolutely loved was the battery life. I did not rent an extra battery for this guy, and even though I did have the charger with me, there weren't very few times where I was sitting there going, oh yeah, I need to remember to charge the battery while we're sitting here doing nothing, because I also wanted to have the potential to film. So I didn't charge the battery all day, and unfortunately it did die on me, so it made it probably about 10 hours? No. It made it probably about six and a half hours throughout the entire day. I'm not gonna be somebody that tells you that that's great or not. I don't think it's that good. I can go around a lot longer with my 7D and with the XC10 and get a lot more battery life out of it than just that. So I'm not too sure. I feel like the M5 did a lot better, but again, it is a little bit more of a substantial battery, and it being that they're kind of a mirrorless camera that's kind of trying to take the place of some of the DSLRs, I would imagine that that's in their eyes supposed to have better battery life. So I would know that if I'm going to be going for a good 6 to 8 hours during the daytime, I would have a secondary battery with me and definitely carry the charger, so that those times if you're not using the other battery and it's already out, you can then be charging it to swap it back and forth. I want to talk too a little bit about post-production. So after the fact, I got this footage in and I was editing it. I noticed everything seemed fine, not a big problem using Final Cut Pro 10. And then I got to color grading and I realized all of the footage just had this hint of green to it. Now, granted, I was at the Scarborough Fair, so it's a festival. There are woods, there are grass, there's trees, green leaves. With all that green around, I don't know that this sensor really knew what was going on, and it probably just had a little bit of trouble with that. So, but that's one thing I just wanted to mention, is that I noticed that all of the footage I had, unless I was in a specifically strangely colored place that was off with any of the green, really had this green tint to it. And I just had to use a little bit of color grading to make sure that I could get it out of the footage. So did you have any of those issues? What are your thoughts on the G7X Mark II? I would love, again, to be able to go run out and buy one, but the same thing. Like, I'm really looking forward to being able to upgrade my DSLR body. So hopefully if I come across a couple extra $100 one day, that this will be something I'll go pick up. I would love to use it in Colorado. If I do not own one by then, I might try to rent one. I think what I want to do though, instead of just going out and buying anything or saying that this is the camera I'm going to use, I want to go rent the comparable version of this camera that Sony has. With everything they're doing in the mirrorless market and everybody talking about how awesome they are, not only do I want to try some of their mirrorless cameras that are competing with like the M5 and the M6, but I also want to try things that would compete with the PowerShot and just see, are they lighter? Does the viewfinder work better? Battery life any better? How does the footage look when it comes after for post? Things like that. There's the things to think about. So I'm definitely going to have a link to the Scarborough Fair vlog down below. All the pictures that I took, I'll put them on Flickr and make sure that you guys can have access to them. So go check those out. Pass along your thoughts on the vlog. Pass along your thoughts on my pictures. Any other tech or anything you think that I should try to use. Like, I love the recommendation and I'm glad that I tried the G7X. It is something that I would consider using this summer. So if you have any other technology you think I should try for upcoming adventures, please just let me know. Remember, I am your purveyor of awesome, and we'll see you on the internet.